What's going on, everybody? How's everybody doing tonight? You know what time it is. It's time for the Sports Lounge meeting, and I'm super excited for today because we have a special guest tonight. You know, to hit us up here every Tuesday at 7, but tonight, since we have a special guest, he's from the East Coast. We had moved it up to 6 o'clock, but I'm super excited to have him on, and we'll talk a little bit with him in a minute. But first, let's get our sponsors out the way.
Hey, so first off, we want to thank, of course, we have Number One Sports Fan, which is the local sports merchandise company here in Tulare, Hanford, and Visalia. Just remember, playoffs are getting ready to set up. Go hit up all your new gear. And don't forget, guys, spring training is right around the corner. They're already getting baseball stuff in. So hit up Number One Sports Fan, let them know the Sports Fan sent you. Secondly, we have Cali Built Graphics. Cali Built takes care of all of our needs for our shirts, polos, hats. Even if you need your car wrapped, hey, he can take care of you there. Just let him know that again that the Sports Sound sent you, and Rigo, he takes care of it, especially those that are here locally. Thirdly, we have Brian Martino Construction, local builder and remodeler. So if you need any of your construction needs, hit up Brian at brianmartinoconstruction.com at gmail.com, and we go get you an estimate to get your remodels done. Last but not least, obviously, we want to thank our biggest sponsor and the one that backs us the most, and that is Mikey.
The Mogul brand. That's who we're powered by.
So there it is. We want to, again, take the time and thank all of our sponsors.
Yeah, so let's dive right into it. I want to introduce our special guest. Our special guest is we'll call him a TikTok sensation. He's starting to grow traction there on TikTok. Played football all the way up to right before the pros. And he's a Birds fan like me, and I had the privilege to be on many of his panels. He doesn't talk nonsense, y'all. And that's one thing that we bring here is we bring great content, people who understand the game, people who are not biased and understand the game. And he's one of those dudes. And super cool dude. Had the chance over it's been like a week or two, probably 2 weeks now, to be able to be on a couple of his panels. And he knows that I speak from a different perspective as well. We kind of mesh that way every time we go in, and so super excited to have him on tonight, like over the top. This is the first time I had a bird in here, so I'm a little more excited than probably the other two, but no other than Sunshine. Mr. Sunshine, what's going on, brother?
Hey, man. I appreciate you guys, man. The opportunity is incredible. I met Chosen, like you said, through TikTok, man. I'm a big Birds guy, right? They're looking all right. How about that, Chosen? Huh? A little better than last season, right? But no, guys, seriously,
okay.
I appreciate the opportunity, guys. Like you said, I'm a Birds fan in my core, man. But I also know sports, and I just really appreciate the opportunity to come on here and talk with you guys, man.
Hey, honestly, man, we really enjoy having others on the show, not just having us, and especially people that want to talk and trying to do the same thing that we're doing. We will not only do we try to support locally, which obviously you can tell by our sponsors, but you can tell, we will support everyone when it comes to, podcasts, media pages, anything, because at the end of the day, we're all in here just having a good time talking about things, that we enjoy and that we love. It's like, look, unfortunately, we don't get the chance to play the sport that we used to, that we wanted to play as we grew up. But it doesn't mean we still can't sit there and look at it realistically. So again, I appreciate you. So, it's awesome to have you on here. So everyone, make sure you follow. It's the Sunshine State Eagles on TikTok. There's his name. He also is just starting up his Instagram page. And so we're going to kind of, you're going to see him, hopefully on here a couple other times. I don't know, maybe he's not just an Eagle fan,
If I'm so lucky, I will be.
I'm not going to hold it against him, but him being a Florida Gator fan. But I don't know, maybe I might be able to convince him to do some college shows with me, because everyone knows it's all about GBO, go Big Orange.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to have to get into that with you, man. That makes me excited. And now I have a Birds guy and I have a volunteer guy to debate. Let's go.
Yeah, so it's going to be good. But hey, let's hop right into this show, Mikey. What do we got starting us off?
Tops for the week. Let's get it. What is one of your best games this week. What is your favorite game that stood out to you the most? Let's talk about it. Let's dialogue. And just give me 1 second. I'm actually going to switch cameras here. Let's see here.
He's always switching something. Hey, let's
Gotta make
start
sure
with
it's in the
Dupree.
right shot.
Yep. Hey, Dupree, what do you got, man? What do you got? What was the game that that impressed you the most?
The Steelers, man. They're on a wrecking ball, just winning everything right now and doing what they need to do locally when it comes down to it. And the passing game's been there. Their defense has been there. I think they're trying to make another run. They're trying to make another run.
All right. Hey, real quick, they're already starting. So Nate P1, hey, that's what I'm talking about, brother. Go Balls. That's what it's about all day. GBO.
Fly, Eagles, fly. I love it. I love it.
But all right, so you had the Steelers Bengals game. What, obviously they're showing up. That was the one you said, right, Dupree?
Yes.
What was the thing that stood out to you on that? Like, in all honesty,
just Russell Wilson playing like he's actually wants to play again. He is playing like he wants to win a Super Bowl and just go at it.
I'm right there with you, man.
400 yards of passing offense.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. That was a shootout is what that was. I think you saw the Joe Burrow that went to the Super Bowl. And I thought you saw Russell Wilson that weekend, on Sunday with, him, what it looked like he was with the Seattle.
Mm-hmm.
So that was actually kind of nice to see.
I mean, if I may, the Bengals, the Bengals, man, you got to feel for Joe Burrow, right? The man is playing at an MVP clip with a high school defense. I don't, the guy, when you're scoring 38, 44, just to name a few, I mean, he's throwing over 300 yards in some of these games. I feel for the guy, man. I mean, what more do we want him to do? I seen they talked about it on First Take, where Shannon Sharp was kind of, getting into him a little bit, and they're like, man, what do you want him to do? The defense can't allow 44 points. When you're scoring 38 points, you should be able to win that game.
You better win that game,
right?
That at the end of the day, that's what you better win that game. I mean, 38 points, is what what you scored. I'm sorry. You lose that one, I would be questioning, honestly, the head coach. I really would. What game stood out to you?
Huh?
The Eagles.
Who did you ask?
Sunshine. What game stood out to you the most?
So, my fault. I did not hear you. My mistake. So, I mean, obviously the Birds and the Ravens was the big one, but I'm going to be honest with you, man. I'm going to pick one, so I'm a little bit unbiased. The Lions and the Bears, man. That one,
okay.
That one was a little bit closer than I think the experts would have predicted it was going to be, right? I think at the beginning, the Lions kind of had their way with the Bears, but to allow them to score, what was it, 14 or 21?
20 to 23.
Yeah, I mean, that. You're talking about you get to midfield, right? And you have an opportunity to take these guys to overtime. I mean, it was right there in front of them. And, the head coach kind of bobbles it a little bit there. And, you have this is my thing that I've had all year on Caleb Williams is you take a quarterback first overall, right? First overall, first round. And you expect him to have a little more, in my opinion, to have a little more game sense than that. Because I don't understand how we're not getting to the line and clocking it right there. Right. Or at the very least, throwing a dump. You still have a timeout in your pocket. But at the end of the day, that's going to fall back on Matt Eberflus. And I mean, that wasn't his first mistake in Chicago. And I think this one, he was fired rightfully so, because there's no reason that you don't at least get a field goal opportunity when you still have a timeout. I mean, you had an opportunity to beat a divisional rival and the number one, what some consider to be the number one team in the NFL.
Yeah.
Not only that, I mean, think about it like this. I mean, he had 37 seconds on the clock. He's already what, about 8 yards away from field goal range. Yeah. 37 seconds is a lot of time for some of these higher caliber quarterbacks. I mean, if he could have just played the game right, they could have not only just put him into overtime. We're thinking bare minimum, right? Bare minimum, they should have kicked the field goal, but
Right.
they could have actually won this game.
Right, he takes a sack too, right before the play where he's setting up. He takes a huge sack literally before the play. I was watching and I was like, all you have to do here is not take a sack. And literally, as I said it, he got sacked, and I was like, oh.
The,
I don't know. I feel like for a first overall draft pick, we need a little more awareness than that.
so I mean,
So what
these
does this?
guys know.
What does this say? Let me ask you guys this question. I mean, what does this say for? I mean, does it do anything for you guys as far as seeing how vulnerable the Lions were with the Bears?
Now, when it comes to the Lions being vulnerable, in my personal opinion, with the way everything panned out defensively, we know that they're playing, and they're honestly on the defensive side of the ball. When you don't have your starter, when you don't have your lead captain out on the field, it does make a difference. The Bears could not stop the run. On the offensive side, Jared Goff, he should have done a little better on his completions. He did have a hard time, with on the passing side, he was spreading the ball a lot, but he could not hit. The longest pass that he had actually was for 30 yards. So he was keeping everything short because, the Bears secondary isn't horrible. The Bears defense actually isn't that bad. The offense, they should have a better team, and so in my personal opinion, I don't think I have anything to worry about when it comes to the Lions. Do I think they're suspect? Can they be beaten? I'll tell you what, anybody can beat them on Sunday.
I think they get beat Thursday.
Me too. I called it. I told Mark weeks ago, we're talking about it, and I said they got the third hardest schedule from here on out. They're gonna get beat multiple times in this third. Like, I'll be surprised if they win out of what do they got? 5 games left. If they win, I'll be surprised if they win 3 of those.
Right. I mean, they have a 10-2 Vikings and a 9-3 Packers, just to name 2 to finish the year.
And the Bills.
And the Bills.
I give them 1. But barely a win, though. Like, they'll barely get it. Like, by a time mess up, just like with the Bears or something will happen. But it's going to be by barely an inch.
So I will say this, as you guys talked about Thursday. Obviously, Thursday night is a Packers game. I will be sitting in class, probably yelling. But unfortunately I had to take my final, and so I'm going to get it done as fast as I could. But I will say this, as a Packers fan, a person who pays attention, the Packers will not beat the Lions.
Really?
Man, that's tough.
The Packers will not. I do not think the Packers will beat the Lions, and the reason being is because Romeo Doubs is going to be out. As long as that secondary does do their part, shutting down Jaden Reed, the Packers don't have anyone else to throw to. The Packers do not have a passing game. They've had to rely on the run, and guess what? The Lions know how to stop the run.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
So
did the Ravens.
Yeah, that's true. But that's where my personal, my thought is, I don't think the Packers are going to beat the Lions. I think the Lions are going to beat them. I do think they will lose, they'll lose to Buffalo, even though it's in Detroit.
Let me ask you this, Mark. Let me ask you this. What would be the score then? What would be the score for the Packers and the Lions game?
4. Detroit's going to win by 4. It's going to be like 27-23.
I have a lot of faith in Josh Jacobs, man. Josh Jacobs has had an incredible year. I think he can open some stuff up for you guys. I'm feeling y'all's tight ends are also the one tight end. He's very good. I can't think of his name right now, but they are. Yeah. I'm about to say he's been pretty incredible.
So with Kraft has been injured, so that's going to be one of the things that's going to be a little difficult. They don't know if he's going to be playing this on Thursday because of short week. Musgrave has struggled with injuries, so that causes you to to lose people. I mean, when they traded away Preston Smith, here's the thing that the Packers have a struggle with: the Packers cannot stop the run. If you get to the secondary, the Packers, they're horrible at stopping the run. If you get to that second line of defense, you get to their linebackers,
Well,
you're
man,
going to
it's good.
struggle.
It's a good thing Detroit doesn't have two really good running backs, right?
Yeah, exactly. So that's why I think Detroit is going to win. They're going to rely on their run because Goff is not going to be passing a lot on that secondary.
I don't think so either.
Green Bay has one of the better secondaries in the NFL. But they're horrible at stopping the run. And so that's why you've got two running backs. If they make it to the outside and they get past that first line of defense, their linebackers are not that good. So that's one of their weakest, that's their weakest point on defense. That and honestly, special teams is horrible.
Right.
But
yeah, I'm gonna go with the AFC side. I'm gonna go with the Raiders and the Chiefs. I think that game stuck out to me. Reason why I'm paying attention to that. Obviously, we know that the Chiefs are always right there in the Super Bowl, no matter what. But there's a difference this year, guys. There's a difference this year. I believe that the worst 11-1 team in the whole entire NFL. Let me tell you why. I'm gonna tell you why, because every single game that they have played, they have literally beat the team 7 points or under. Not only that, on an 8 game stretch, and we can go dive in, say it's the refs, whatever. That's not the direction I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go a little deeper than that. I'm gonna tell you that a lot of times, especially last year, they relied on that defense. The Chiefs relied on the defense to keep them into those games where Mahomes didn't really have to do much. But what happens when you give away Snead and you have to deal with McDuffie? And McDuffie has literally done nothing with the number 1 wide receiver, the number 2 receiver, number 3 receiver, the running back. He's really haven't covered anybody and shut anybody down. He's been getting cooked, right? So if the defense is taking a step back and Mahomes' left tackle situation is a problem, and he's always on the run, as we've seen. This is the most – well, yeah, I mean –
outside of Humphrey.
Yeah, outside of Humphrey. And so this is a team that is not only beatable – yeah, they're winning games, and I get it. It's a tally on your thing. But let's get into the playoffs when it matters the most, and we're going to actually see who they really are. They struggled with the Raiders, 17-19. That last call was controversial. They called a false start, but then came back and deliberated and basically gave them an illegal shift. We get it. But if you're struggling with a Panthers team, a Raiders team, and the list goes on,
after coming off losing, getting beaten by the Bills handily. Like, they get beat by the Bills handily, and then you come out
and get smoked. Yeah.
Fight for your life against the Panthers and the Raiders. Like, I understand you'll hear people say, well, last year this happened with the Raiders at Christmas, but bro, we can all agree it feels different this time. I agree with you there 100%.
Yeah. And that's where I'm at with the Chiefs. It's just like, I get the fan base. I get what you guys are saying. Mahomes is hot, and Andy Reid is one of my guys. Like, I love Andy Reid, and I get he's a masterful dude, right? Like, he does things that I don't think no other coach can do, and I get that. But the players got to play, y'all, and it's going to come down to some teams, and we're going to talk about that next after my other colleagues give theirs. But that was the thing that is an eye opener to pay attention to, because now we're thinking about who's going to be in that AFC championship. And right now, as I sit and watch it, I don't think it's going to be the Chiefs.
No, it's actually going to be my pick that I have for the game that stood out to me, and actually was the Bills and the Niners. It was not because of, honestly, you have, the Niners having 10 billion injuries. Is what it seems like. Christian C-Mac, he went onto the IR. Jordan Mason is now on the IR. Obviously they've already lost Hufanga on the IR. Ayuk's on the IR. Bosa's been, he's already listed as questionable for this week.
Kittle's been battling stuff too.
Yeah, Kittle's been out.
Sick for a minute. You don't even know what's going on.
Yeah. It's been pretty bad. Kevin Gibbons actually just got ruled out as of yesterday for the season.
Mark, no pun intended, right? You said it's been pretty bad.
It's been pretty bad.
That's a way to put it.
You know, but for me, what stood out on that game, honestly, is if the Bills end up with the 1 or the 2 seed, they have home field throughout the playoffs until the AFC Championship.
Mm-hmm.
And did you all see what the Bills did in the snow?
Josh Allen had every kind of touchdown you can have.
Exactly.
What?
He's doing everything in the snow. Like
My man had he said receiving, rushing, passing, it don't matter.
Yeah, you know, and that's where I'm just like, hold up. How the heck are you going to, you know, usually in the snow, you're going to rely on, a lot of times you're relying on the run. No, they didn't rely
What's going
on
on,
the run.
Francisco?
Francisco,
they're relying on-
the same Broncos Nation. They had an impressive win, but no, I you know, yeah, they only had 17 passes. He threw for 148 yards. You know, hey, but in all honesty, you know, you had some good runs. You know, of course, James Cook, he had 107, but guess what? 65 came on one play.
Dude, but how he was moving in the snow is wild. Like he wasn't slipping, he wasn't sliding. Dude was flying through the snow.
Yes,
Like,
they know how to play in the snow. So all I got to say is, anyone going to Buffalo to play in a playoff game,
you're in trouble.
you better hope it ain't snowing.
It will be. It'll be interesting too in that AFC Championship. I mean, we're gonna talk about it next, but I have 2 teams again. I have Bills in there. I have 2 other teams that I'm going to talk about, but neither of them are the Chiefs.
No, I wouldn't put
the Chiefs are completely irrelevant.
Yeah,
it feels that way, huh?
Yeah, they're irrelevant to me. I mean, looking at their scores, you know, like Mike said, you're talking about a lot of the games have been like 8 points or less, 7 points or less. Guess what? All those games that they won, they should have realistically lost.
Yeah,
yes.
100%.
You know,
they got the Atlanta ones served on a silver platter.
Yep. You know, so that's the one that I got. You know, so what else you got,
That's
Mikey?
a good one.
Hey, so real quick, back on that Broncos Nation. I mean, I understand the fact that Jameis Winston threw 3 picks. The dude had 497 yards and 4 touchdowns, though. Did you see that Jerry Jeudy had 9 receptions for 235 yards and a touchdown?
And he wanted to go back.
For those mistakes. Yeah.
He wanted to go back. He's like, well, let's go back and play him again. Dude, he looked like a Madden player. It was insane.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
that was crazy. As good as Bo Nix has played, and we'll talk about like his rookie. I think really rookie of the year comes down to Bo Nix and Jaden Daniels. It's probably gonna be Jaden Daniels. I think I've seen it. He's been rookie of the week for like 7 weeks for Jaden Daniels. Only 3 for Bo Nix. I think it probably end up being Jaden Daniels, but Bo Nix got a good case. But let's not forget about the old cat, Jameson Winston. And it wasn't for those 3 picks, man. And 2 of them, like I could see that how it happened. You know what I mean? Like it was an error, like, you know. But if it wasn't for those 2, boy, I don't know, man.
What he did last night, right, goes far beyond just last night. Obviously, everyone knows the Browns aren't making a playoff push. They are in, you know, but they're not the worst team in the NFL. He basically went out there and said, "Hey, man, I can still sling this thing." You know how many teams seen that and said, "You know what? We could use a quarterback. We could use a quarterback." And Jameis is still throwing it with the best of them, man. I mean, like you said, that really the only interception that I kind of fault him for, he kind of tested the D end, the Broncos D end. That guy's a dog. He had a night though. The guy off the left edge that I can't think of what his last name is, but he's a pretty young cat. But the guy that had the pick 6 was terrorizing them all night long. But man, like you said, Jameis Winston basically just re-fired up his Indeed for the NFL.
Hey, I'm right there with you. I agree with that 100%. Jameis Winston is only he's only signed on a 1-year deal.
Yep.
And to me, you know, I'm just saying, you got teams like
the Raiders,
Giants, the Raiders. I mean, take a guy. I mean, if I was the Raiders, you know, I can go into the whole college draft. But I think we're going to have to do a show on that, you know, and talk about like the prospects, you know, especially once playoff season gets along.
Right.
You know, as we get closer to the end of the NFL year. But I will say this, with what Jameis Winston has done on the season, I have been impressed to say I'd sign him to another 1-year deal and try and prove himself.
If the Browns would have started him from the beginning, I don't mean to interrupt. If he would have
you're good.
started at the beginning, the Browns would be a legitimate conversation in their division. I firmly believe that.
I mean, they've always had the defense, right? I mean, they needed that key piece that could get them that people can believe in. Jameson Winston actually is a good locker room dude too,
right?
And he's a good leader. Like you said, I'm not a Cleveland Brown until I could beat the Steelers. You know what I mean? And I mean
beat the Steelers and the Ravens.
Yeah, and this dude legitimately went in there and did it. I mean, I don't know more what else to more have anything else to say more. I mean, he just reminds me of like a Fitzpatrick type of dude that comes in and he's like, "Yo, I don't even care. Like, I'm finna go out there and just play football." You know,
he's so unintentionally funny.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think everybody had their pick, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Let's dive into the next segment, man. We're gonna talk about AFC.
Real quick, first off,
let's answer some questions.
Yeah, so first off, I want to say this. Francisco, I know you are a new subscriber. Man, I appreciate you subscribing to the YouTube page. Normally, like you said, we're here at 7 o'clock on Tuesday nights, but we will, obviously we have this special night. But yeah, we're here every week, man. And trust me, stay comment and stuff like that. Who knows? We're those type of guys that, hey, if you're spitting fire questions and things like in comments, man, we'll bring you on live ourselves. We'll bring you on the show. We don't care. That's how we are. So let's hop in this question. So the first one actually was Elite Monsters actually asked, are the Eagles Super Bowl contenders after they win against the Ravens? I'm not going to let the Eagles fans answer these two questions that are being asked. I'm going to spit into this right out because and I'm going to say this. The Eagles fans have been contenders since day one. That's my answer to that. It's, they might have started, a little slow, a little sluggish, but they were not running on all cylinders. They've been battling injuries all season, but now we see that they are getting to the point where it's like, these guys can, they know what they're doing. So yes, they have been contenders since day one. That is my thought on that. Do I think the Eagles are going, we got the mogul, they're asking, are the Eagles going to go to the Super Bowl? That is going to be a tough choice. It depends on what the script says in the NFL.
You're right.
I'm just going to leave that one out there, because I will say this, and I've been very vocal about this. If the Chiefs make it to the Super Bowl, I will stop watching the NFL because I'm done with it. Those guys, they don't even deserve to even have the top playoff spot. To be honest, with the way the Broncos played, you mentioned, when we're going to talk, when you just said right now about Rookie of the Year, I think if the Broncos make the playoffs, I think you will see Bo Nix getting. It will take both of them for it to go to Jaden Daniels. But if whoever makes the playoffs, the other one does not, I think it's the person that leads the team to the playoffs. Right now,
I think it's already set though. I think for me, a personal opinion, and Sunshine and Dupree, you could jump in on this, and also Mark. I think the AFC is already set, other than where they sit in position, right? Like the number 2 spot can be switched up to 3, 4, 5, whatever. But I think it's pretty set. Those are the 7 teams that are going.
The Colts aren't going to make a push. Like it's
yeah. I think it's pretty set. I'm pretty secure on that. But you guys can chime in on that.
Now, I'm just saying,
Denver's going to make it.
Here's the thing: when you look at the AFC, you've got Baltimore, Houston. Well, Houston's the division leader, so we can't count them. But when it comes to wild cards, you've got Baltimore, the Chargers at 8. Baltimore's 8-5. The Chargers are 8-4. Denver's 8-5. Other than that, the Colts are 6-7. That's the next closest team.
Yeah, like I said, the Colts aren't going to make that push, especially not with how the Chargers have been playing. I mean, the Chargers have been playing very well. Harbaugh's completely 180 those guys, especially on defense. And the Broncos, man, the Broncos have had a good defense, right? We knew coming in the Broncos were going to have a good defense. The question mark was offense, and they started slow, but man, Bo Nix has looked really, really good over the last few weeks. So I think all 3 of those teams you just named, Mark, are those are playoff teams. I don't see the Colts making headway. They're not even going to beat the Texans, I don't think. And the Texans, I'm not very high on the Texans.
No, I'm right there with you.
The only other team that I could see slipping in, if the Broncos lose a couple, I could see the Dolphins possibly slipping in because I'm looking at their schedule.
But you're looking at they're 2.5 games behind right now. So
that's what I'm saying. It would take Denver to lose. That's what I said. It's going to take Denver to lose a couple. Looking at Denver's schedule,
Colts, Chargers, Bengals, Chiefs are their last four.
I mean, they can lose to the Chargers. They can lose to the Bengals.
Yeah,
I wouldn't say
can play with just about anybody.
I'd be surprised with the Bengals.
Yeah, and then you got the Chiefs at the end. I mean, that's what I'm saying. Like, I think the Dolphins is. I'm not saying that they're going to get knocked out. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that the closest team to squeezing in, right? If they're going to squeeze in, and I see another team other than the set that I said, is going to be the Dolphins, because the Dolphins have like an easier way to get in, because I could see Denver actually losing to the Chargers and the Bengals. They're both away games. That's going to be tough games. The Bengals do have a number one passing in the league.
And the NFL sack leader is on their team.
Yeah, and the number one sack leader is on their team. And then that Chiefs game is always up in the air, depending on where they want to be placed, right, and how hard they want to play. I don't know. I'm just speculating. Again, I'm just saying that I think it's set.
There. Yeah, you can set and just speculate. Just say, okay, yeah, they go 1-3. Okay, so they go 1-3. That's going to put them at 9-8. Right now, the Dolphins are 5-7. They have 5 games left. They've got Jets, Texans, Niners, Browns, Jets. Well, guess what? The Browns like to play spoilers. Jameis Winston's he knows he's playing for a job for next year.
Yeah.
We saw that last night.
So they lose that game. So that puts them at what?
So
6 wins.
So that's realistic. Let's say they beat the Jets. They'll probably lose to the Texans, because Texans are still playing for their spot. So you got the Jets as a loss, Texans as Jets as a win, Texans as a loss, Niners. I'll give them a win on that. The Dolphins.
Yeah, I think they can take care of the Niners.
Browns, I give them a loss, so I have them going 2-3. Guess what? That puts them at 7-10. So they would realistically, to go 9-8, they've got to go 4-1 to finish the season, and they can go 1-3, and it's just a tie.
Yeah.
Yeah. So essentially, they got to beat the Browns and the Texans.
Yeah. So
those are the only games they got to pay attention to. I'm just saying weird things have been happening this season. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised, right? So I mean, like I said, I'm set on the 7 that we have, but I'm saying the closest one to that would be the Dolphins. And I mean, the Dolphins do have firepower. I mean, they do have, they do have firepower.
Receiving core in football, right?
Yeah, I mean, like we can't just be like, oh, they're gonna get at any point in time, Tyreek can get 200 yards a game. Any point in time that he wants to, right? So
he can, as long as Tua stays healthy. That's the biggest key that you guys got to look at, man. I mean, even Tua this last
I'm looking at it. I know.
He had to be taken off the field this last weekend for a series, because all of a sudden he got hurt. It's like, okay, has he got a concussion again? Was the big thing that they were worried about?
Yeah.
The guy is, that's one of the things. So, I mean, can it happen? Crazier things have happened. I mean, look at all the stuff, how the Chiefs have won every single game that they have this year. If not, they would be 2-9. So yeah, a lot of crazy things have happened this year. So can it happen? Anything can happen. But realistically, I do say that our 7 is set. It's just going to be the seeding and where they're going to fall. Like I said, with Washington, they look like they're going to make the playoffs, because no one wants to win the NFC South or the NFC West.
Yeah, you got a point there, man. Those are the Wild Wests of football right now.
I've sit there and said it, and I will stick by my guns. And in my personal opinion, if you do not finish above 500 in your overall, I don't think you should make the playoffs. I mean, what was it, last year or 2 years ago? Somebody was 8-9 and they made the playoffs. Shouldn't have happened.
Yeah.
You have to finish above 500 to make playoffs, in my personal opinion. In every other sport, you do.
Yeah, I mean, essentially, that's telling a team that's not even winning half their games, like, "Oh, welcome in," and then what happens? They get matched up with the Packers, and the Packers beat them by 50, and it's not entertaining for anybody to watch. There's no reason to even.
Exactly. So
I mean,
I
look
just
at the North. I mean, just look at the North. Like, man, like every team is a playoff team. Like the three teams are just playoff teams. That's
Yeah,
crazy.
yeah, yeah.
you
I
guys
mean,
up there, have some superstars in the AFC North this year, man. That's the toughest division in football.
Yeah,
yeah.
let's get to this question.
How do I feel about when Cooper DeJean bodied Derrick Henry, the Mean King? I'm going to answer that. I will no longer
Oh, you
refer to
don't want
Derrick Henry.
you don't want to answer. You don't want us
I'm
to
gonna
answer
answer
any
this.
Philly questions, huh?
I'm going to answer this. I'm going to say it straight up. I was impressed with the draft. I think it was probably one of the best picks that they took. I told Mikey that the night of the draft. But I will no longer refer to Derrick Henry as the king. I am now going to refer Cooper DeJean. Cooper DeJean is now King DeJean to me because that was a
Okay.
tackle. That was old school. This is how I tackle.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, nothing could be said. Derrick Henry is just going to be Derrick Henry, and he will now be known as King DeJean for as long as I know him. Unless if Derrick, they manage to meet up in the Super Bowl and Derrick Henry goes ahead and basically does a Bo Jackson like Bo Jackson did back in the day to Brian Bosworth. Unless if that happens, I'm sorry. That name has now been set aside to Cooper DeJean, and he will be referred to as King DeJean.
Yeah, but even if he does that, now we're 1-1. Now we got to run it back one more time.
Yeah, but now we're tied. Yeah.
Now we're tied. Now we got to run it back one more time, brother. Like
Yeah,
that doesn't do that.
Incredible hit, bro. I'm so happy. The production he's given in tackling alone, man. God, our defense is set for a very good amount of time. I'm very excited.
Yep, exactly. Yeah. So let's
Mark,
go on this next segment, man.
Yeah. Ask Dupree, go ahead. I mean, Mark, go ahead and ask us. Or no, you know what, Dupree, ask us the second question. What's the second question?
What else are we going with?
For our segment.
Oh, who you got for AFC and NFC teams? Who is your best and who is your worst?
We'll go with the best.
No, just in general. We ain't worried about who the worst is, but just in general.
Just in general, who's the best you got?
Who's the best? We'll start in the AFC. Who do you have as? We'll just call it like this: the two best teams in the AFC. You think that's going to meet up in the AFC Championship? Who do you got? And who's the best out of the two?
Me first?
Yeah. Go ahead.
I'm gonna go Bills and Ravens. I think that's my two picks for. I think the Ravens have hit a little bit of a downslide, but obviously the Bills are better. But I think they meet up in the AFC Championship. That's just my personal opinion. I do think the Bills will beat them in the playoffs. But you never know, man. The Ravens and Harbaugh is a great playoff coach, right? Like once he gets to the playoffs, he's very, very similar to like how we view Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid in that he wins playoff games, man. And I would not want to see the Ravens in the playoffs, especially with that offensive attack. It would be rough. I don't think the Bills would by any means stretch of the imagination destroy them. They already met up once, right? And so judging off what happened there, I mean, that was complete annihilation. No way that happens twice. Not in a playoff game. I just don't believe that it happens twice.
No. On that game, when they met up the first time, Derrick Henry, he ran for 199.
Yeah.
Which is pretty much unheard of, but he had an 87-yard run was a big play that he had. That was actually right there towards the beginning of the game. He just literally took off. I mean, so it was a matter of honestly 12 seconds. Got the ball. 12 seconds later, he was gone.
And the momentum shift, right? Like that's such a killer momentum wise. You're just like, wow, he just cribbed that 87 yards at 240 pounds.
Yeah. So you got Bills and Ravens in a rematch. That's pretty good one. What do you got, Dupree?
I see the Bills going, but also see if they're still going to cheat their way. I think the Chiefs are going to get in there. I feel they're still going to cheat their way in there, regardless of how they've been barely winning these games. The refs are not going to let it happen to where they're not going to get to this AFC Championship. Let's just be realistic. They're not going to let them not do it.
Yeah, it's about money at the end of the day.
Mhm.
I could see that too, but I
Mikey,
don't have. So I have obviously Buffalo Bills, very similar to that. They have proven themselves, but I have an NFC North team, and it could be either one of these. That's why I said it could be either one of these. It could be the Pittsburgh Steelers because they got the fewer points allowed. They I mean, the way that their defense is playing, the way that the offense is playing, Mike Tomlin knows how to win. But he hasn't won since I think it was like what 2009.
Yeah.
He hasn't won. He hasn't won a Super Bowl, and that was like Bill Cowher's Super Bowl. Really, he had his team. But in all realisness, I mean, 18 straight seasons is impressive. And when everyone thought that the Steelers were done, they went and got Russ and they got Justin Fields, and guys, they're 9-3. Like, but I can see Pittsburgh Steelers in there, and I also I'm agree. I can also see the Ravens. The Ravens, I mean, besides playing against the Eagles, the Ravens have played elite football, and I can see them, tuning up what they need to tune up and make a run too. So it's definitely gonna be the Bills. I just know if it's gonna be Pittsburgh or is it gonna be Baltimore. It just depends on where they sit, who they have to play. Might have to play each other and then get there. So that's who I have.
Do you imagine a divisional matchup between a divisional playoff matchup between the Ravens and the Pittsburgh Steelers? Whew.
Oh no, that's a big
popcorn. Popcorn.
Yeah, so I have the Bills and the Steelers. That's who I have. Bills have already beaten the Ravens. The Steelers already beat the Ravens. It was by 2 points. The Steelers have won a lot of close games. They've lost a lot of close games. They lost by 3, lost by 3, lost by 5. Mm-hmm. All of them were scored at the last minute. It's not like they were blown out. Everything was scored basically on game-winning field goals, game-winning touchdown, things like that. The Steelers do have to play the Browns, Eagles, Ravens, Chiefs, Bengals. Steelers have a gauntlet coming up. It's like, that's a tough schedule. Realistically, if you go, let's be honest, if you go 2-3 with that schedule, I think you made it. I think it's success.
Yeah, you survived it.
Yeah, you survived it going 2-3.
They're successful. They're successful already at 9-3. I mean, look at what they had to go through, and what they gave up Kenny Pickett, and they started all over again. I mean, they're successful now.
Well, no, I'm talking about that those last 5 games. You made it successfully through that gauntlet at 2-3. With that schedule, that would put them at 11-6. Baltimore, they have.
Let me ask this question real quick before you go to Baltimore to Sunshine. Eagles make it to I'm just
hypothetical, right?
Yeah. Eagles make it to the Super Bowl. Pittsburgh make it to the Super Bowl. How happy is Michael Parsons and Saquon Barkley?
Bruh. Michael Parsons is in Howie's DMs the next day. The next day, bro. That's great. Could you
call to each other?
A Pennsylvania Super Bowl, bro.
More on that. We'll talk about that in a little bit because man, I know
that call when they call each other about like you see what is that? You see what is that?
But go ahead with Baltimore. Go ahead with Baltimore.
Baltimore's got the Giants, Steelers, Texans, Browns, and plus they got their bye week.
They
have the easier schedule. The advantage that Baltimore has is, Baltimore's already gone through their gauntlet. On top of that, Baltimore is having their bye week at the end of the season.
Yeah.
So that's a big thing. And so, I mean, it's going to allow them to be healthy. The key is as long as they're not playing from behind, I think they'll be okay. I think this, realistically, obviously they'll beat the Giants. I think that Steelers game is going to be a tough game. It can go either way. And I think the Texans game is going to be a tough game for them. Again, you got the Browns who Jameis is playing for a job for next year. He hasn't earned it yet somewhere. So he's going to ball out too. So realistically, they could probably go 3-1, and that would also put them at the same record. And so the key factor is going to be is if the Steelers win, they take the division. If it's a tie, then it goes against who had the better record in the division itself to actually win the division. So, and I believe that is actually held by Baltimore. to be
I think
honest.
so. Yeah, I think it is.
You know,
Baltimore beat Cincinnati both times.
Baltimore is 2-2. Pittsburgh is 2-1 right now.
Oh,
And so, but they have, like I said, you still got the division game against with the Ravens, and then you got the one against you got the Browns and the Bengals. So they've got 3 out of 5 games against division opponents.
yeah.
So that's a tough way to finish your season. So, you know, but realistically, those guys, when you look at it, all in all, that's going to be the 3 seed. Whoever wins the division there, Houston will take the 4 seed, and I can realistically see Baltimore. Basically, Baltimore and Pittsburgh is going to be the 5 seed. So for them to play, it's not going to be the wild card round; it'll be closer to the divisional round, possibly the AFC Championship. So no matter what, if that happens, I think that's going to be a great series. But it's definitely going to be fun to watch. What about on the NFC, guys? Who do you guys got?
Dupree?
Top 2.
I see the Eagles and the Lions going. I see Eagles
All right.
and Lions going. Eagles have made a stride. Saquon Barkley has been doing phenomenal. The defense when it comes to the Lions have been right there, being one of the faster defenses that we have right now. So I see them going.
Okay. What about you, Sunshine?
Yeah, I'm gonna go Eagles, and I'm gonna go Eagles, and believe it or not, I'm gonna say Packers, man. The Packers have been hitting this stride recently that they're a dangerous football team right now, and I know you don't have a lot of hope for Thursday, and you know them probably better than I do, but something about the Packers right now, man, with how it's clicking. Jordan Love's turnover issue is starting to kind of decrease a little bit. And that, for me, was the biggest thing for the Packers, is that Jordan Love was turning the ball over a little bit too much. And that was kind of costing them football games. So right now, with that getting a little bit better, if they can get this win Thursday over the Lions, man, sign me up for an Eagles Packers NFC Championship game.
Okay. What about you, Mikey? What you got?
Yeah, this is what I do. This is what I'm going to do. This is what I'm gonna do. This is what I've been waiting for. This is what I'm gonna be waiting for. This is and when you guys get a chance, I want you guys to clip this.
Hold on,
because I'm finna go in. I'm finna go in.
He'll put the chain on. Oh no.
Go ahead. It's gonna be the Packers and the Eagles NFC Championship. But let me go a little bit deeper. A lot of people's been doubting the Philadelphia Eagles, and I got some stuff that I need to tell you.
Oh no, he got a list.
Nah, I got my notes, and I told Mark I'm gonna come on here with my notes, and Sunshine's gonna appreciate this. They
Take
said Jalen Hurts.
Take them to church.
Okay, so we're gonna go. At first, we're gonna talk about this. They talk about the MVP race, right? Mm-hmm. They got them talking about the MVP race. They say Josh Allen and Josh Allen is going to win it, blah, 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 this and that. You look up and Mark's going to tell you guys after this, Jalen Hurts and Josh Allen's comparison and stats are almost identical. But they not talking about our Jalen Hurts, right? But this is where we're going to clip it. Because they said the Philadelphia Eagles on TikTok not going to win in the first round, that we're not going to make it to the Super Bowl. Let me tell you why. Because when they doubt us, they said Jalen Hurts has to beat Patty Mahomes. We lost to him in the Super Bowl, but guess what? The following year, he beat him. Jalen Hurts has to beat Josh Allen. He's done that. Jalen Hurts has to beat Lamar Jackson. We just did that. Jalen Hurts has to beat Joe Burrow with the #1 passing rating. We did that in old fashioned belt to you know what. They said Jalen Hurts has to beat Tua. Oh, he did that. Jalen Hurts has to beat Matt Stafford. He did that too. I mean, I could go on and on and on. I'm gonna tell you this, and listen to me, Dupree, when I tell you this. Women lie, men lie, but numbers don't.
So here's your numbers, you guys. Everyone knows I'm the local statistician.
Let's get the stats, Mark.
2,494 yards for Jalen Hurts, 2,691 for Josh Allen. You have a realistically less than 200 yards. It's actually 197 to be exact. So you got 14th in the NFL with 20 versus 20th. When it comes to touchdowns, Jalen has 14. Josh has 20. So you got a guy who's tied for 6, a guy who's tied for 16th. Interceptions, they both have only 5. 5, you guys. And then on QBR, Josh Allen has a QBR of 74.5, which is second in the NFL behind Joe Burrows, and Jalen is 8. Now, I was talking to Mikey about this earlier on the phone because he was getting already hyped up about it, and I'm going to say this. When it comes to MVP race,
Wait,
Jalen
first off, because I know where you're going with this, but Sunshine, did you know that stat?
Yeah, I knew it was close. When it came to like I was looking at it today on Twitter. I seen a side-by-side comparison of the stats. The one that impresses me the most is the QBR, man. Like we're right there. Jalen's right there. Like he's right behind Buddy.
Yeah, but they're saying that it's all Saquon though. They're saying it's all Saquon. But like, bruh, like put some respect on my man's name. Like he's doing it too.
I made a video today. Like I'm done with. I did the Jared Goff comparison video today. We're the Jalen Hurts disrespect stops right here, bro.
So
yeah. Go ahead, Mark.
I'm actually, before I get into that, I'm going to actually make a comparison that a lot of people don't pay attention to because they want to say Jalen Hurts, yes, he needs to be passing the ball. Okay, if anyone who knows, Sunshine has played football. I have coached football. Mikey has coached football. I will say this. When you are winning a game, you do not need to pass the dang ball.
Nope.
Run the clock out. Keep running. What am I going to do?
You said that.
I'm going to keep running. If I'm ahead by 5, 10, 12, whatever. If I'm ahead, I'm running the damn ball.
Every single football game is won and lost in the trenches. If you can run the ball, you can beat somebody. When I was in high school, that's all we did to folks was run the ball over and over. Because eventually, that third and fourth quarter, we seen it with Baltimore. Baltimore was the big bad baddies, right? Until they got punched in the mouth for 4 quarters. And then all of a sudden, towards the end of the game, Saquon's busting off 19, 20, 30. I think he had one run close to 40, right? The touchdown run.
Yep.
So that pays off, man. Punching people all game long pays off.
So here it is right here for that stat line. Barkley is the first running back to have 100 yards rushing yards against the Ravens this year.
Yep.
So we're going to switch this back, though, to that comparison. So before I get into this, when you look at rushing, Jalen Hurts has 124 carries for 485 yards. Yes, they're notorious. They use the tush push a lot. Well, guess what? That tush push usually leads because when you got a young kid, and yes, I'm going to call him young because he's young, but when you got a quarterback who can squat over 500 pounds, and I'm not talking about maxing out, I'm talking about repping it. And then you got another cat that is standing there behind him in Saquon Barkley that is pushing him, that is squatting 600. Again, not maxing it, repping it.
Right.
I'm sorry, I don't care who you are. You got 2 guys that can sit there combined, squat over 1,100 pounds. That is like trying to stop a guy like J.J. Watt. Well, guess what? If you're trying to come up underneath as a defensive lineman, when you're going under, if you're not underneath, you're not low enough. Jason Kelsey said this last year. He goes, the one thing I hated about the tush push, he goes, I had to get too freaking low. That is what they told us. That is what they taught us. You got to get low because you got to get underneath. As soon as you get that defensive lineman to stand up, guess what? He is now on his heels. He has now got 3 to 4 yards guaranteed on that carry. That is how football works, ladies and gentlemen. When you got 2 kids, Saquon and both Jalen Hurts, one pushing the other one, you ain't going to stop it if you're trying to stop someone on your damn heels.
Good luck. And you have to have a solid line to do it.
Exactly. So
you have to have a solid line. It starts up front.
Exactly. Now I'm going to give this.
But let me
real quick. So
one more thing though. One more thing. Because you said about the tush push, and I want to say something about the tush push. All right. It's gonna be quick. I want to get this out the way with the whole tush push, brotherly shove or whatever. Guys, relax. It's just a quarterback sneak. Quit trying to make it more than what it is. It's just a quarterback sneak. But go ahead. Go ahead,
So,
Mark. I just wanted to say that.
No, this is what I want you guys to take into comparison. I will say this. I'm impressed with Josh Allen's rushing stats. He has 70 carries with 334 yards rushing. You got to that. Josh Allen, he can run. You got a big kid, 6'5", 2. I think he's like 225, 230, something like that. You got a big kid that's trying to stop. And here's the catch. He's not a power lifter. He's corn-fed. Ladies and gentlemen, he's from the Central Valley of California. He grew up in an agriculture family. And guess what we did in the agriculture industry? We learned to buck hay. If y'all ain't ever bucked hay, y'all don't understand how much strength it really takes. That's how he grew up. So he's not a weightlifter strength. He's a corn-fed strength.
Corn country strength.
I'm like, that's just straight raw country power is what that is. So I'm impressed. But statistically, now I'm going to get to my point. Jalen Hurts is not the MVP of the NFL. He should not be put into that consideration. And I'm saying this because he's not even the MVP on his team. Saquon Barkley is the MVP. Saquon Barkley does not need to break Eric Dickerson's record. Mikey and I were talking about this earlier. Eric Dickerson has 2,105 yards rushing in a season. He ran on that. He had a lot. He actually had the most carries also. There's only been 8 rushers in the NFL history that have made 2,000 yards. One of them being O.J. Simpson. He had 14 games compared to everyone else having 16. Well, guess what? Now Saquon's getting 17. So can it be done? Yes, it can be done. It's the same concept, and I'm going to bring baseball up into this just like I did with Mikey. Babe Ruth hit 50 or 60 home runs in 1929, 60 in 154 games. They said when Roger Maris broke that record in 1961, they need to put an asterisk against it because guess what? He had 8 more games to play. He played in 162. So when you play more games, you have the chance to get more yards. Guess what? If you're averaging 90 yards a game and you get an extra game, I just added 90 yards to my total. So you have to put the respect on Eric Dickerson's record because it is in 16 games. But you also have to put the respect on O.J. Simpson as a football player. I'm not going to bring up his off-field issues, but as a football player, because he had 2,003 yards in only 14 games. Can you imagine what he would have done if he would have had 17 games?
Right.
You're talking about, honestly, I want to say 14 should be, realistically probably about 130 yards a game.
But can we put this in consideration too of the era that we're in? Like guys are like a little bit more thinner. They're definitely a lot more elite. They're a lot faster. Like to do it now, they're complete athletes.
They're no longer football players. We're dealing with athletes now in the NFL. That's what we're dealing with.
So to do it,
they just
even
can't
now,
go to baseball and play that. I'm sorry.
To do it now, I think is for him to be at 1,500 yards through 13 weeks is just crazy in the league that we're living in right now. I'm just going to say that. But
no, like I said, Jalen Hurts, he should not be put into the conversation for MVP because of Saquon Barkley. Saquon Barkley, the last time a running back has won the MVP was 2012 with Adrian Peterson when he went off, with over 2,000 yards in that year. Other than that, it hadn't been done since.
And I'm cool with that, but I just want to make the point. I just wanted to make that point with the comparison because. I just wanted to make that point, and it's okay if I would love to see Saquon do it. I would love to see somebody else other than a quarterback do it. You know what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, I don't even care about none of those accolades. I want the championship.
Yeah, I want the bowl. Give me the Super Bowl.
Give me the Super Bowl. But who does Dupree have?
Dupree had the Lions and the Eagles.
The Lions and Eagles. Who did you have?
I have a win.
Oh, let's go.
For me, I'm going to agree with Dupree on this one. I'm going to say it's going to be the Lions and Eagles in the NFC Championship because the Lions are going to be stuck playing against the Packers. And I don't trust Matt LaFleur yet. And I don't trust Jordan Love. And again, they don't have the wide receivers that they need. That is Aaron Rodgers. I personally, I didn't like, he was the Packers quarterback. I didn't mind him. He was a great quarterback. He is probably one of the best of all time. as long as you take out the last 3 years, he should have retired as a Packer. And going to the Jets was the stupidest thing he could have done, and I think it tarnished his legacy.
For sure.
Yeah.
I probably would have said he was a top 5, quarterback in NFL history. I do not think that anymore. He's a top 10 still, but he's not a top 5.
I can agree with that.
But the biggest problem that Aaron Rodgers had was one thing alone. I don't have any wide receiver help. Well, guess what? They drafted, all of a sudden they traded him away. He went to the Jets. They went and they drafted, they had Christian Watson. All of a sudden they started taking offensive players. Like, crap, we got to do something.
Well,
We went, they had Aaron Jones. They had a great running back duo, with Aaron Jones and the other cat. I can't remember his name right now. I'm having a brain fart. He's out on IR for the season because he tore his ACL.
His name's on the tip of my tongue too. I can't remember it.
But they do have Josh Jacobs. Josh Jacobs done a great job running the ball. Their offensive line has been horrible this season. They deal with a lot of injuries, but they need wide receiver help. They need to, they have 7 rounds to draft. They need to go ahead and take at least 4 at wide receiver. They drastically need the help. They cannot. And the other thing they need to do is they need to fire the freaking strength. The NFL needs to figure out something and just fire the strength and conditioning coaches across the NFL. That's right. The other thing they need to do: get rid of the dang turf. I'm tired of seeing ACLs blown out because of turf. Y'all ain't never played it. It's not forgiving.
Mark, I got a question for you, bud.
All right.
So it's really quick. When you say receiver help, because I agree. I think they have some good cats, but you got to remember, guys like Jamar Chase are going to become free. Jamar Chase didn't ever do his deal, right? I mean, he's going to be a free agent. You got some elite receivers that are going to be in free agency that you guys could possibly pursue.
It's a possibility. The biggest thing is going to be the salary cap.
Right.
That's the biggest thing. And they need help at offensive line. We spent a crap ton of money on a lot of people. They are right in the middle of cap. We do have $64 million in dead cap. I want to say for actually, no, we have $18 million. We're down to 9th. So we do have a lot of players that are coming off. But when you have guys, Preston Smith that they traded away, they got dead cap money from him. You've got dead cap money, from Aaron Rodgers still. That's the last season on him. But they need help. They need help on the defensive line too. The defensive line is getting old.
Yeah, that is true.
Very
Kenny
true.
Clark, Elgin, plus your offensive line. You got Elgton Jenkins, who's 30 years old. That's a senior citizen in the NFL, man. I mean, overall,
Especially on
their
the
offensive line. Yeah, their offensive line. They need, but overall, they actually have one of the youngest teams in the NFL. They really do. But I don't trust the injury problems. Christian Watson has missed quite a significant amount of time this year. Romeo Doubs is now missing time again. Jaden Reed has missed time this year because of injuries. And it's all stems with playing on turf, which has been it was a show we did on injuries for an entire show. I mean, I could have probably went on for a week on that.
You're right.
But that's their biggest problem, man, is they need to, sum up that defensive line and offensive line. But they need to figure out how to keep injuries, and they need that help when it comes to the wide receiver side. So I think they're on the hump, but I still think it's going to be the Lions and the Eagles.
Cool. And then out of those picks, who do you guys got going to the Super Bowl?
Eagles.
You can start at the top.
Start at Mark real quick. We'll go around real fast.
I think it's going to be the Eagles and Bills.
Eagles and Bills. Who do you got, Dupree?
Eagles and Bills, unless the Lions can pull something off. But Eagles and Bills.
Yeah,
Sunshine?
I'm gonna go Eagles and Bills as well. I think this is the year the Bills finally get there, and they have a shot.
I've said Eagles and Bills through many weeks.
But tonight, 10 weeks.
Yeah, 10 weeks I've said Eagles and Bills. This week I'm going to switch it up. I'm going to say Eagles and Pittsburgh, man. Eagles and Pittsburgh.
Man wants that. He wants that Pennsylvania Super Bowl bad.
But I might change my mind next week. I mean, there's many weeks to be played. I want to see a little bit more from Buffalo Bills. I mean, they beat up on a hurt 49er. You know what I'm saying? But to get this out the way, Yeah, man. Like I just need to see a little bit more for the Bills to show me that they're like a legitimate threat. I think the Pittsburgh Steelers, with a coach that has been there and has been in playoffs and with the experience and play calling, I just trust them just a little bit more in a tough game when the lights are on than I do the Bills. But if the Bills can get over that and show me just a little bit more, I think the Bills will end up getting the edge. It just take me a couple more games to believe in that, but yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, we're pretty close to unanimous.
So let's squash the last question and go opposite direction of what we usually go to. We'll do our top 5 since Sunshine's locked in. This is the time where we tell you guys to like, share, comment, subscribe to our channel, and we would greatly appreciate it. This is the reason why we do this. It's for y'all, and it's not just for us to talk football because we enjoy it, because we do, but we also do it for you guys to give you guys great content, things like that. But also follow Sunshine and all his platforms. He got some Instagram and TikTok. TikTok is lit. I'm telling you guys right now, I'm on it all the time. I always try to get on his panels as much as I can, just because they talk the realness. It's the real deal when you go up over there. Go look him up. Go check him out. You guys great content. I'm super excited and blessed, lucky and fortunate to have met this man and be able to have him on our show. But let's get with it. Well, with our last question, who is your top 5? And remember, Dupree, when we start with our top 5, we're not talking about The Rock Johnson. We're not talking about the Lakers. We're not talking about this is the segment where we talk about NFL only, the top 5. We got to give it to Dupree every single time because that's what we do. We have fun with Dupree. Give us your top 5.
My top 5, we're going to start with me. If anything, it would be the Eagles, the Bills, the Steelers.
Wait, start all over. Wait, start with number 1 again. Who did you say?
The Eagles.
Okay, one more time for the people. I don't think they heard you in the back because you haven't said it for many weeks. Many weeks. This man had the Commanders on there above us a couple of times. He had different people above us at the time. This is the first or second time that he had this. Say it for the people in the back one time. Who do you got at number 1?
The Eagles.
You damn right. Keep it going.
There's the Bills. There's the Steelers. There's the Lions. This last spot, I really can't even choose because people are going right up there back and forth when it comes to the last spot. The Ravens have been right there, but then my Chargers have been right there because they were right there.
Yeah,
right there,
respectfully.
So, if anything, I'm going to put my Chargers there until this Chiefs game. The Chiefs game is going to determine what's going on because they both had no receivers. The defense is there both ways. And it's just a matter of if they're going to cheat or not when it comes to when we're going away into Arrowhead.
All right, let's get with our well, we don't have to do the overlay, but let's get to who do they got? Oh,
Eagles,
again.
Bills, Lions, Steelers, Broncos. All right.
Broncos are
Okay.
I don't
like
hate
that.
it. I don't hate it.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I like that. That's cool.
Mikey, who do you got? We're gonna
No,
let
I'm gonna go with
Sunshine. No, we're gonna let Sunshine go last. We're gonna let him go last.
Okay, we'll go with you, me, and Sunshine.
All right, so I'm right there with everyone else. I got the Eagles at 1.
Wait, hold up, because you had the Lions many weeks, and then you had a tie.
No.
You had a tie
many weeks. I had a tie many weeks.
I think
this is the first week we're hearing from Mark, y'all. We gotta clip this. Hey, we gotta clip this.
I got the Eagles at 1. I got Bills at 2.
Wait. Hold on. Mark, you ain't saying that because Sunshine's on, right?
No, I ain't saying that.
Okay.
The way they play.
I'm just making sure. Making sure. Okay,
He's
go
a
ahead.
Vols fan. He says it from the heart.
Yeah.
Okay.
I got Eagles, Buffalo. Then I go with Detroit. Then I got Pittsburgh, and then I got Minnesota.
Ooh, got Minnesota at number 5. Okay.
So what you got, Mikey?
So I'm gonna go again with the Philadelphia Eagles, and I'm gonna give you some good stats too. We're 7th points per game. Total yards were 4th. Rushing yards were 1st. Rushing touchdowns were 1st. Defensively, per game, we're fourth. Total yards per game, we're first. And yards per play is second. And pass yards. The reason why I'm giving you these stats is the reason why I tell you that the Philadelphia Eagles playing on both sides of the ball. Give the flowers to Vic Fangio. Masterful game last game. And I officially have them locked in at number one. It's going to be hard to dethrone them at this particular point unless there's a complete fall off face of the earth. And I don't think that that's ever going to happen, but I got them at number one. Let's go with number two. My number two pick, I got the Buffalo Bills too, Mark. I got the Buffalo Bills. I'm going with you on that one with the Buffalo Bills. At number three, I'm going with the Pittsburgh Steelers. Going with the Pittsburgh Steelers at number three. At number four spot, I'm gonna go with your Packers, man. Put some respect on them Packers. They're playing hot football right now. I've got to make sure it's fluent. I know you're not believing it, but we got to make sure that it's fluent, like Stephen A. says.
I'm a tough critic, though. Everyone knows I'm a tough critic.
Hey, I know you are, but we got to put some respect on Jordan Love's name. You got to give him some love. So we're going to give him some love and put him at number four. But you know what? I'm going to go with Dupree on this. You know, Jim Harbaugh came up in here and he said, I'm getting rid of everybody. And then everybody looked at him. Everybody looked at him like this, huh? You getting rid of everybody? You know what I'm saying? And he came in there and that's the quarter. And with that quarterback, Herbert, we knew Herbert was decent. We knew he was decent. But Harbaugh took him over the top, made him back to an elite quarterback, and they're playing great football right now. They're 8-4. I think they're going to do some damage on the. They're going to show us some things towards the end that's going to put them over the top. And I got the Chargers at number 5.
That's solid. Solid.
Not bad. Wait, so who did you have before? Real quick, who did you have before?
I had Pittsburgh, right?
No, you had Pittsburgh at 3.
Yeah, I think Pittsburgh was 3.
So I had Eagles, Buffalo. I forgot the Lions.
Oh, okay.
Oh, so you went Detroit, Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
Okay, so you missed.
No. Hold on, I got that mixed up. Hold on, I got that mixed up then. I got the Philadelphia Eagles, Buffalo Bills. Yeah, I don't believe in the Detroit Lions. I don't got the Detroit Lions on the 5. So I got I got Eagles, Buffalo, Pittsburgh Steelers, Green Bay Packers, and the Chargers. That's what I said.
Okay.
Okay.
He just wanted to keep on saying Eagles at 1. That's all that it was.
Yeah.
That's all I'm worried. That's the only team we worried about right now.
Woo! Man.
All right, go ahead.
Sunshine. So real quick. So before everyone knows, so Sunshine, actually, you go to his TikTok page, follow his page again at Sunshine State Eagles, and he just released his top 5 on his TikTok page for his power rankings. So Sunshine, what you got?
Do you do that at a certain time?
I do
every Tuesday.
Yep, every single Tuesday, guys, because after the Monday game, I have a pretty good scope. Usually I know long before that, but I used to do it Thursday before the Thursdays games, and I just kind of found that Tuesdays were better, right? I got to watch the entire slate. Now I kind of could reorder my list, and my list has stayed pretty much the same. But like Stephen A. says, what's he say? It's fluid, right? It's fluid.
Keep it fluid.
Keep it fluid. So first off,
so it's
Tuesdays
at what time?
What's up?
Tuesdays at what time?
I usually release it at 3 p.m. That's like my prime posting time is usually in the afternoon.
East Coast time for everybody out there. That's East Coast time. 3 p.m. East Coast time.
Yep. We usually get it out there, and it is out and about. I try to make that and the predictions list pretty consistent. And in the future, this goes for you guys too. Prediction list. I'm going to be bringing on live guests to do live prediction shows with me because I think it might add a little bit more spice to it. Because I am currently 104 and 50 or something like that in my picks, so we're doing all right over there.
Oh wow! Prediction.
Anyway, back to the matter at hand, gentlemen. I want to take the opportunity to say thank you again for this opportunity to speak, man. You guys have been incredible. Let's get down to business. They say it's cold in Detroit, Chosen, and I ain't gonna lie to you, brother. This one's gonna break your heart. But the Detroit Lions are at 1. The Detroit Lions, all the way out on the lake, are at 1. I got them at 1. And until Thursday could all change. And Mark, your Packers need to do it for me. I'm going to take the Lions at 1. But remember, it's fluid. At number 2, them Birds. The Birds are 2. They went into the number 1 rated rush defense in the NFL, and they put up 140 yards. 100 yards alone to the MVP. By the way, his name's Saquon, in case you didn't know or you've been living under a rock. Saquon Barkley goes into Baltimore. We never won we haven't won in Baltimore in 12 years, right? Off the list.
Yeah.
Baltimore has the number 1 run defense, right? Not that night they didn't. Jalen Hurts is a bum. Can't beat Lamar Jackson, right? He's 23-1 against the NFC. Now he's 23-2. All thanks to who? Jalen Hurts.
Saquon.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Go Birds. Birds at 2. All right. We're going to move on to number 3. Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills. It's all paradise in the snow lens of Buffalo, baby. I'm going to put them at 3 because I think Josh Allen has done a very good job with the weapons he has at hand, right?
Yep.
Let's be honest. Jalen Hurts has more weapons than Josh Allen does, arguably. He's got the best football player in the league, one of the best receiver ones in the league, and the best slot receiver in Devontae Smith. So I'm going to go with the Buffalo Bills at 3, guys. At 4.
Here we go. This is where it gets crazy.
You got to put the Kansas City Chiefs at 4. You got to.
Damn it.
They're 11-1. All right? I'm going to put them in the list because I understand that some of their games are controversial. I get that. I understand that. But we can't blame penalties all the time. I can't leave an 11-1 team out of a top 5 in the NFL. It just wouldn't make sense. I regrettably put them at 4. Can't stand those guys. At 5, right?
Okay.
This one's been pretty fluid all year long. It's changed from the Commanders. It's changed from the Steelers. It's changed from the Ravens. Gentlemen, the Pittsburgh Steelers are the number 5 best team in the NFL. I'm not going to lie to you. That what Mike Tomlin has done in Pittsburgh, in his time in Pittsburgh. I'm not even talking about this year. Mike Tomlin deserves to be in that same conversation that we have all-time great coaches in, guys. Mike Tomlin, he's never had a losing season. We're talking about the National Football League. This is the best of the best. All right, and everyone this year said this was the year. This was the year that the Steelers were going to have a losing season because their roster was depleted. We didn't know who QB1 was. Mike Tomlin said, do you know who I am? Do you know who I am? I'm Mike friggin' Tomlin, and I'm going to put the Pittsburgh Steelers at 5, man. That defense is incredible. The offense is getting some things figured out. I really like Russell. I like seeing Russell Wilson have fun again, right? The man looks, this is as much fun as I've seen Russell Wilson had since his days in Seattle, man. Give me the Pittsburgh Steelers at 5, and that is the current Sunshine State Eagles top 5 power rankings.
Hey, that's a good list. That's a good list.
Applause, guys. Let's give them a round of applause, guys. Come on now.
Hey, I'm going to say this. Now, I'm going to ask this question before we get off here.
I got a question. I got a question, too.
Go ahead.
All right. So my question is this: Mike Tomlin is never had a losing season. You talked about he has to be put into category as one of the greatest of all time. One of the greatest coaches of all time. Even though he only does have 1 Super Bowl, that's it.
Yep.
We take Super Bowls because Mikey and I have this debate when it comes to the NBA with Jordan and LeBron. It's our going conversation because I say Jordan's the GOAT. Of course, he's got LeBron. He'll never be the GOAT. I mean, in my personal opinion, I can have a conversation with you on that any day of the week.
Different day.
Yeah, but let's take out Super Bowls.
Okay.
Let's take out Super Bowls. By removing the Super Bowl count, does Mike Tomlin now become the greatest coach of all time? Over Belichick, over Tom Landry, over the great coach,
He's not over them, but he's in the he has to be conversated in 18 seasons, making it to the playoffs every single year with different teams.
He's got to be invited to the table, right? Like I don't think
he's
above them.
Okay. All right, here let's cut it back here. You are allowed an NFL coach, history, Mount Rushmore. Is he on that list? Is he on the mountain?
I had to think about
how many guys can you fit? How many guys can you fit up on there? 4?
4.
Okay, so can my construction guys or my other guys put another face up on that mountain? Is there room? Is there room on the mount? Is there? I'm just asking. Is there space that we could put another
There's
face
not.
up there?
Can
There's
we
not
build an
space to put-
honorary guy?
Wait. What's in the way? Like, what would be in the way of that mountain for us to not put that up there?
The sky. It's literally
that's
a
a
sky
tough-
on one side, a sky on the other side.
That's a tough conversation to have when we're talking Mount Rushmore, but there could be an argument there. I mean, if he can win another chip, I think. I mean, it's hard. I mean, what other coaches did 18 straight, bro?
Yeah, that's
Nobody
a
has.
crazy stat, bro.
Nobody
That's
has.
a crazy stat.
That's
But
just
I mean-
I can understand 5 straight, 6 straight. You know what I mean? 18 though.
That's
But
crazy.
you've got.
He's almost
Um,
like that.
If you
That's
have, okay,
crazy.
so here's the thing. I can't put him on there. I can't. Could I give him an honorary mention? I could. But I mean, when you've got guys, obviously you got Bella, like I said, but let's take out Super Bowls. So we're going to take out Super Bowls. So
If
that
we
means
take out
can't-
Super Bowls, he's up there. Then
Yeah.
if we're taking out Super Bowls, he's up there.
I
still
want
don't
to
think-
hear your list, Mark. I want to hear your 4.
So you've got the great Don Shula.
Yeah.
He has to be up there. You've got obviously a winning tradition, taking out Super Bowls, but you still have to look at what Bill Belichick has done. Bill Belichick has only had 4 losing seasons. That's pretty impressive himself. Okay. You've got Tom Landry.
Landry's in there for sure.
So there goes 3 right there that I could put in the last one, guys. I hate to say it. I mean, they do have there's this great thing that they fight for on the second weekend every February. What's that trophy called that they play for in the NFL? That's right, the Lombardi Trophy. It was named after probably the greatest head coach in NFL history, which was the Green Bay Packers head coach with Vince Lombardi.
Vince Lombardi has to be on. He would have been the first one on the mountain for me.
Yeah.
He's the first one.
So,
but
for
wait,
me-
hold on. I got a question for you. Because we're taking out Super Bowls, right? And we're saying that Belichick only had 4 losing seasons. Tomlin never had 1.
That is true. But you have to look at when it comes to wins.
Yeah.
He was winning also,
The
having a
10,
losing
12
season,
games.
9-8, 8-8, 9-7. That's how, realistically, he was winning his not having, and trust me, it's impressive at 18 games, 18 seasons. I'm not doubting that. But you had Belichick went undefeated. He was averaging realistically 11.7 wins a year.
And with Brady.
he had Brady at the helm.
Yeah, that's pretty
Yep.
crazy.
So you're basically saying, look, bro, you're going 11-5, 12-4, guaranteed. I'm just like, so yeah, Belichick. You have, even though taking out the Super Bowl itself, just
Yeah,
overall the
that's-
winning percentage. That's why I have to put Belichick over there, because the other person, over Tomlin. Because the other person that I actually look at that I always thought was impressive, it's a person that's not talked about enough. He was a great defensive-minded coach. That was Tony Dungy. Another one.
Yeah.
About to say
Bill
that.
Cowher. Bill Cowher. He did the same thing in Pittsburgh too. Pittsburgh Steelers have had 3 coaches.
They've had 3 coaches.
Three
3 really,
coaches.
really good coaches, man.
Yeah.
3 coaches
in
in
all
their history.
honesty,
That's
you can
crazy.
sit there and take those 3 coaches, and all 3 of them could be on that Mount Rushmore in reality.
Yeah. I mean, it's why they're competing with the Niners for Super Bowls, right? Like it's
Exactly.
back in the day, man. They were a force to be reckoned with.
Exactly. So that right there.
That's
What
cool.
was your question, Mikey?
Yeah, I have a question for Sunshine, man. Like this has been the biggest debate all over TikTok, all over social media, all over primetime TV, man. Like, but why do you have Detroit at number 1 as the best NFL team?
So for me, man, Detroit, did what they did, right? They did it against the Texans, and back when they played the Texans, you got to think the Texans forced 5 turnovers in the first. I understand they lost that game. During that time, the Texans were a top 3 defense in points allowed per game, and they were able to come back and win that game. That's impressive in any right. Then that was before what I would consider kind of a collapse for the Texans, but before that, the Texans defense was one of, if not the best, in the top 3 in the league, I believe, in points per game and run defense. Aside from that, they play in the AFC North. I think they have better competition there than the NFC East. And overall, man, they're 11-1, and they've won. They beat the Vikings. They've beaten the Packers handily. I didn't think they were going to do what they did to the Packers, but they did the first time. And then, man, I just right now, they're my number one for those reasons.
Is it even close that the Philly is your number one pick?
Yeah,
because
absolutely.
listen, this is the reason why. Points per game, points per game, we've held every team to 15.3, and I believe that the Eagles is the only team in the NFL that's been so consistent since the bye week. I understand, we haven't lost a game since we're 2-2, and the Lions haven't lost a game since they were 1-1. Right. So I can get that. That's kind of even, right? Even playing field. But the fact that we're keeping teams like the Ravens under 20 points is like massive. That's a massive statement. That's what still the deal for me is keeping teams like that with Derrick Henry under 100 yards.
Yeah, that,
you know what I'm saying?
I'll tell you, I wrestled with
huge.
It. I wrestled
That's
with it.
huge, you know?
I don't know. What we do to Pittsburgh is going to tell me. I mean, the Eagles have proven themselves as a solidified Super Bowl favorite. This is not me saying, oh, like they need to do this in order to go deep in the playoffs. I think the Philadelphia Eagles are going to go deep in the playoffs regardless. How we deal with the Pittsburgh Steelers, because the Pittsburgh Steelers, that's the last quote unquote difficult team we're going to play this year. After them, I'm not worried about the Commanders. I'm not worried about anybody in our division, if I'm being 100% honest with you. So when I watch that game, I want to see what we're able to do on offense. Not worried about defense. I think defensively we're fine. After the Ravens game, the defense is sold to me. It was sold to me before that, but me and you both, you know me.
Yeah.
The defense is sold. It's been great since that bye. That drumming we took in Tampa, by the way, I got to witness that live. That was great. After that, bro, this defense has been on another level since then, and they proved it the night we beat the Commanders and made Jaden Daniels actually look like a rookie quarterback. After that, I was like, you know what? Not worried about the defense. I want to see what the offense can do with the Pittsburgh Steelers. That's another opportunity for us to show, we can run the ball on a physical defense, because the Pittsburgh Steelers have a physical defense, in my opinion. We can run the ball on them, and I need to see Jalen use his wideout receivers a little bit more. Not that he's bad, because I've already made a whole video on that, but I would like to see Jalen continue to take strides, and I think he has every week gotten better and better. I mean, the man's I counted it up. He's got in this 8-week stretch, he's got 19 accounted for touchdowns and two turnovers. He had a fumble and a pick, and they came in the same game against Dallas that were his fault.
So real quick, I'm going to chime in on that. So Mikey, you talked about actually, I will agree with what Elite is saying right there. This is probably the best version of Jalen Hurts. I said this is what they needed at the beginning, our very first show.
For sure.
That's what was needed, and he's done a good job at not turning over the ball, not fumbling the ball. He does have 3 fumbles on the season. One of them got lost. He has 5 interceptions. So he's done his part with that. He's done a good job running the ball, things like that. But now you talked about why should the Eagles be over the Lions on his list? Now, you want to talk about stats. Mikey, I'm a statistician, and I have stats pulled up right here. When it comes to it, the Lions have actually, when it comes to total yards on offense, they are second. The Eagles are fourth. When it comes to rushing, okay, we know that the Eagles are number 1, correct?
Correct.
Well, guess what? The Lions are 4th in the NFL. Okay, so you got a number 1 rush against a number 4 rush. You have a number 4 passing. So when it comes to passing yards itself, the Lions are 5th The Eagles are 27th.
Yep.
Now, again, I made this comment earlier. When you are playing ahead the way that the Eagles have done all year long, they do not have to pass the ball. So they've done their part. The Lions have had games where they had to play from behind. So it has happened. So you're going to rely on the pass a lot more. We saw that actually with that loss that Detroit had. And it was, but you even saw even with the win that they had when Jared Goff threw the 5 interceptions in one game. You're playing from behind, you got to pass the ball.
Yep.
So statistically, now when it comes to first downs, the Lions are number 3, the Eagles are number 6. So statistically, there is a solid reason why the Lions should be considered number 1. No, and the whole reason why we do our top 5, ladies and gentlemen, is because it is our top 5 for the week.
Yep.
It is not what we think like, okay, this is what we saw for this week.
It's fluid.
It's not, exactly. It's fluid.
Yeah.
It's not what has gone on for the season. Because when you look at the season overall, yes, Buffalo Bills are 10-2. They've had a great season, but they have had some ugly wins.
Yeah. And ugly losses.
Detroit, they've had some ugly wins and that ugly loss.
And can be said for Philly.
Same, exactly. So this is not when we release our top 5, it is not talking about what's going on. We're talking about week 13's top 5. That is how we release it. And I know that's why they're called power rankings for week 13. So this way everyone knows we're not talking about the season. We are talking about, but there's a valid reason why the Lions can't be at number 1. That's why I have them at number 2. But when it comes to the way that they played for week 13, Philadelphia was more impressive than Detroit.
Let me ask one more question for y'all. When the Packers beat the Lions on Thursday, how far down do they go in the power rankings?
They go below Buffalo for me. They would.
So I already have Detroit at number 3 because if you guys remember, I had Philly at 1, Buffalo 2, Detroit 3. At 4, I had Pittsburgh, and I'm going to be honest with you. My number 6 is Green Bay.
Yeah.
And I have Kansas City at 7. So if I had to give you 7, that's where I'm at. I have, I just don't think their wins have been impressive. This week, they did not look impressive.
I see what you're saying.
Right.
So that's where I'm like, that's where this is what it is. But
so where do the Lions go?
They don't drop.
When the Packers beat the Lions, they don't drop from 3? They stay where they're at?
You mean 2? They're at 2 right now, yeah?
No, I have them at 3.
That's right.
I have Buffalo at 2. I have Detroit at 3. Now, if you see a close game, I don't see them dropping. I see the Packers moving up. But if I see a 10-point loss by Detroit against Green Bay, how it was in the first game where they won by 10, then yes, I can see them dropping, but they aren't dropping very far.
They stay in the top 5 for sure.
They're staying in the top 5 no matter what.
Gotcha.
So that's where it's fair. Okay, yes, you beat the number 3 team. Green Bay tosses into the number 5. Depending on what Pittsburgh does, depending on what Minnesota does. I mean, because Minnesota doesn't have a very difficult game this week.
They don't have any difficult games.
Yeah, exactly.
So that fan base irritates the heck out of me, man. I don't believe in the Vikings. The way you feel about the Lions chosen is how I feel about the Vikings. I don't believe in them at all, dude.
That's where, to me, the farthest in my list that they could possibly drop is 2 spots. Minnesota. If Pittsburgh wins, Minnesota can't. Even if Minnesota wins, and honestly, if Green Bay wins, Green Bay moves into the 5 spot. I might drop Detroit down to 4. And probably Pittsburgh to 3.
Yeah.
But for it to be where the Green Bay can jump Detroit at that spot, I don't think it's possible.
Yeah.
I mean, you'd be talking about an absolute drumming. They'd have to come in there and like go crazy on them.
Exactly. But actually, guys. This is probably the longest show we've ever had. We got to roll out and end this one. We've been on here for an hour and a half.
When you're having fun.
Exactly. I know it's 11 o'clock, but Ryan, as everyone knows, his page, TikTok page, Sunshine State Eagles. Follow him. like him. Check out his Instagram. He's just getting that started up. And don't forget, follow us here on YouTube. We're here on a weekly basis. And we're going to be collaborating a lot more. I'll tell you that right now.
Man,
For those that
I've
like
had a
college
blast.
football.
I've had a blast. I will be back at the first opportunity for sure.
So I'll tell you right now, anytime you want on the show, you have an open invite. You just let one of us know, hey, I want to hop on this week. I want to roll. We'll push up the time to 6 o'clock. If you want to say, hey, look, if you want to talk college, brother, hey, we got college playoffs coming up. I'm just saying, I can do a Saturday show. I'm already irritated for the fact being that they got freaking Ohio State at 8 and Tennessee at 9.
Hold on, quick question. Is that the worst loss in the history of that rivalry? Because in no world should a 6-5 Michigan beat an 11-1 Ohio State. It should never have happened. That is a fireable loss for Ryan Day, in my opinion.
I agree. But I will say this. Let's do this. So college football, realistically, we have we've got all the conference championships that's coming up Saturday.
Yep.
But Sunshine, what do you say? Saturday morning, so this way it's early for you. Of what would that be? The 16th or whatever it is. There's no I think there's only one game. It's the Army-Navy game that happens every year.
Yeah.
What do you say? Let's talk some college football Saturday morning.
Sign me up, man. That'd be. I mean, my team's going to be waiting for their bowl bid, so I'm definitely down. At least yours is in the conversation to get into that 12-team race. I'm down. I'll be there.
All right, so you guys heard it here first. We're going to be rolling up. In 2 Saturdays, we are going to have a college special show. We're going to talk nothing but college football.
The Gator gear will be out, guys. I promise.
I'm always rocking. It's all about GBO. Go Big Orange. And who knows? I might even have old Rocky Top playing in the background. You never know.
Oh my!
Get ready to learn Tom Petty, brother.
But hey, you guys that stayed on here, man, we went for an hour and a half, and we had 4. Actually, we ended up with quite a few viewers that stayed on the entire show. I don't know about you guys. Normally, a show people get uninterested after about 20 minutes, dip out.
Incredible.
But those guys that you hopped on here, Elite. We had Francisco on here. We appreciate you guys. Keep bringing in your questions, man. Keep bringing in everything. Just subscribe the page. We are actually going to start working on TikTok to get that going up at the same time. We have to get the followers up first in order to go live. And hopefully we can do a lot more collabs. So this way, it will help us get those followers up and do our part with helping Sunshine get his Instagram up, because we have well over 2,000 followers there. So, you look out for these collabs. We're going to be working together. But again, we appreciate y'all, and we hope you all have a blessed evening.
And even let me add this too, even the people on the replay, we have tons of people who come in through our replay. You guys can still join in the conversation and put your comments down. We can go back and we can, jot those down too. But remember to hit that subscribe button as well when you get on that replay. If you see us on the replay at the end, I need to say that in the beginning, but if you catch us at the end, make sure that you put that comment, make sure you like, share, tell your friends about us.
And real quick, just so everyone knows, because there was some confusion today, I had, talking to people. When you look it up, it is not the Sports Lounge. It is the Sports Lounge Media.
You look
gotta
for me.
add media in there. That is our page. So like, subscribe, do everything. We appreciate y'all. We all hope you have a blessed evening.